Hello, my name is Lori Patterson, and I am a certified Zentangle teacher. I got my certification in 2011, so I've been certified for quite some time, and I am going to be having a series of Zentangle classes online. And if you have not taken the introduction to Zentangle, this class today will be free. My other classes will be about 2 hours long, and they will be $20 each. And I will put out more information about that at the end of this video. So for now, I want to introduce you to Zentangle. Zentangle is a meditative art form. It was developed by a couple in Whitensville, Rick Roberts and Maria Thomas. And what they tried to do when they created this method of drawing is to create a very simple method where anyone can learn to draw and make beautiful patterns using simple strokes. So there are some guidelines to go by so that you can achieve this meditative state and beautiful, intricate drawings. I can give you, I can show you a couple samples here of what I'm talking about. And let me just grab another couple of pieces that I've done. This one here. Trying to get it out of the glare. And this one here. So sometimes people are interested in being able to draw, interested in being an artist, and they say, oh, I can't do any of that. And here are some of the reasons why they put up roadblocks, or they think there are roadblocks. One being, I don't have enough time. This doesn't take a lot of time to get started. 2, I need too many pieces of equipment. Well, this is all you need. A tortillon, a graphite pencil, a pen, and a paper tile. This is produced by Zentangle. These tiles are 100% cotton, and they're fine quality. That's all you need to get started. Sometimes people will say, oh, it's too big. I don't know where to start. The tile is small. Sometimes they'll say, well, which way should I, if it's a long piece of paper, this is just a scrap, which way should I put it? It's square. You don't have to make those decisions. So they've tried to eliminate a lot of these roadblocks that people think, I can't do this. And to do intricate drawings like this one is not done, but here's when I've started. Oh, I can't do that. That's too hard. If you can draw the letters I, C, S, and a dot, you can do this. And one of the philosophies that Rick and Maria tried to encourage or to enforce is that in Zentangle there are no mistakes, only opportunities. So just as it is in life, there is no eraser in life. You can't go back and say, oh, I didn't mean that. Let's erase it. There are no erasers in the tools. Only opportunities to find new ways of creating. So that's basically the philosophy. So when you're drawing, there are 8 steps. Somewhere I have a bookmark. There are 8 steps in drawing in the Zentangle method. Number 1, gratitude. Be thankful and grateful that you're learning such a wonderful piece of self-help. Be grateful that the materials that you're using are high quality. Be grateful that you have 15 minutes that you can do this in. The second method, or the second step, is corner dots. I'm going to switch to my overhead camera here so that you can see, and I'm going to start creating the first tile. Okay, here we are with our first tile, and with a pencil, I'm going to put corner dots. So the second step, after you've appreciated the tile, noticed how lovely it is, glad that you're here, I'm going to put corner dots. So I'm just going to put it with the pencil very lightly. Corner here, one here, and one here. We're giving ourselves a boundary in order to draw. Now, I could have made my dots in much further. I could have made the dots closer to the edge. Doesn't matter. It's whatever you decide. I could have put one corner dot this far from the edge and maybe this corner dot down here. It doesn't matter. There are no mistakes. Now I'm going to connect the dots to go around the edge. And I'm going to draw. I might draw this a little bit darker just so that you can see. I want yours to be nice and light, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. And my lines aren't straight, and they don't have to be. That's step number 2. Now step number 3 is to draw a string. This string is going to give us little areas, little spaces in order to draw our patterns. Now for the very first tile, I'm going to give you the string. When you're on your own, you can draw your string any way you want. So imagine that you have a string. Oh, look, I have something here. And I just dropped it down on the paper. And that could give me 1, 2, 3 sections. So I would draw a string like that. So that's what I mean by a string. But for this one, I'm going to make a big letter Z, or maybe an N. So I'm going from the middle of one side to the middle of the adjacent side. Then I'm going to come down the center, and then I'm going to go from the middle here to the middle there. My lines did not have to be straight. They did not have to be at the middle. But I'm giving you an area in order to start. We're going to put down our pencil, and pick up our pen. I'm using a Micron Black PN. Another option might be a Micron 01 in black. I like the PN because the nib is a plastic nib and it's a little sturdier than the 01. And the first tangle that we're going to learn is called Crescent Moon. These tangles are patterns that have been deconstructed so that you're doing it one step at a time, one stroke at a time, so that you can create the intricate pattern easily. So I'm going to use this big square here, this big space here, rather than one of the littler ones, just because. It doesn't matter. You might do this one, you might do that one. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to draw what you might think of as a ladybug or instead of a half moon, a crescent moon, a half moon. So I'm going to go along the edge of this area, and and maybe my ladybugs are going to be about the size of my fingertip. About that big. I caution you to go bigger rather than smaller while you're learning, because we're going to be adding a lot of things into this small space. So you want it to be big so you can see what you're doing. Now, I'm going to do this same shape all the way around. I could do my next ladybug by touching this corner or this edge and connecting it this way, or I could leave a gap and make one. It doesn't matter. So in this case, I'm going to touch the edge here. Now, my goal is to make all the ladybugs look identical. Can I do that in actuality? Absolutely not. Some people can do it better than I can. But I'm going to attempt to make them the same height and the same width. And of course, you can see I have not succeeded. That's okay. Doesn't matter. I'm going to do my best. Now my string line should have come out to here, but it didn't. Now I'm going to go along this edge. It kind of looks like a scallop. Now here, I can't really fit the same size there, so I'm going to jump the corner like this. Continuing around. Now, if I turn it this way, you notice that a lot of my curves are slanted. I work at trying to keep them not slanted. Like this one's pretty good, and this one's slanted. This one's slanted. This one's pretty good. But there are no mistakes. So I'm just going to continue. And then I'm going to go around this side. Notice that I'm turning my tile, because what I want to do is I want to do the same stroke over and over and over and over. That gets me into a rhythm, number one. It makes it easy, number two. And if I get into that rhythm, I might be able to get myself into this flow state or meditative state. Okay, now, generally what we do with Crescent Moon is that we fill it in. So I'm just going to color this all in. If I had a fatter marker on my desk, which I do not, I could pick that up and use something bigger to color that in. I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit here. There. Now, at this point in the video, if you want to fast forward instead of watching me fill all these in, feel free to do that, because all I'm going to do is fill them in, which is another reason why I suggest make them big, so I don't have so many to fill in. And I'm trying to stay within the lines. I'm not always good about that too, but who cares? So the goal here is not the outcome, it's the journey. And the more you practice this, of course, the better you'll get. My ladybugs are more even than they were when I first started so many years ago. And I don't sit here and tangle all day. This is not my full-time job, so I might not have been practicing quite as often as I would have liked to in order to make this closer to perfect. But you know what? This is a piece of art. And if it's handmade, it's not perfect. I am not a particularly religious person, but I heard someplace somebody said, only God can make perfect things. And I'm definitely not God. I hope I haven't just offended anybody, because that was not my intention. I read someplace that I think they were nuns that were quilting, making quilts, and they would purposely make a mistake so they didn't try to replicate God. But as I said, I'm not particularly religious. Spiritual, yes. So you take what you want from that. Four more to go. And there are times when I really enjoy just filling the space. Not thinking about anything else, not worrying about the next thing I have to do. Just enjoying watching the ink fill the space. Now, I didn't say it at the beginning, and I should have, but when you're drawing, you want to draw your lines slowly. That helps you be more accurate, for one thing. And it helps you get into that meditative or that flow state. I'm happy with that. Now what I'm going to do, and I'm going to start teaching you some Zentangle vocabulary. We're going to talk about auras, which are the next step in this tangle, in this pattern called Crescent Moons. If you are familiar with any New Agey type thing, sometimes people say, I can read your aura. It's kind of this, evidently, I don't see anything like that, but evidently it's kind of a glow around a person. Well, what we're going to do with these pencil or pen auras is we're going to mimic the line before it. So I'm going to draw a line that mimics the curve of this little ladybug here. So I'm going to start here. I'm leaving a gap. I'm drawing very slowly, like that. Now I'm going to connect the next aura line with the first one, trying desperately to keep the distance between my ladybug and the first aura the same. And I'm going to go all the way around. Now, I draw best when I'm pulling my pen towards me rather than trying to draw by pushing the pen. So I'm always rotating my tile. So I'm doing the same stroke over and over. Concentrating only on the line I'm making, going slowly, and maybe even thinking about watching the ink come out of the pen. Breathing as I go. Sometimes I suggest one breath per stroke. So I might go in, out, in, out. And I have completed my first aura line. What we're going to do with this is we're going to repeat that aura line over and over and over until we fill the space. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to attempt to make sure that my spaces in between them are just the same. However, if you want to try to get fancy, maybe we'll do narrow one and a wide one, and then a narrow one and a wide one. I would suggest if you're first starting out, let's just try to make them the same. Let's learn the rules before we start breaking them. And once we know them, break them all you want. Going slowly, one stroke at a time. Turning your tile. Breathing in and out, in and out. The way Rick and Maria came upon this idea is Maria is I'm off the screen, sorry, move my whole body over here. Maria is a accomplished artist as well as a calligrapher. She used to have her own calligraphy business called Pendragon Ink. And she did, because she's so good, she did the wedding invitations for Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones, for example. And one day, she was in her studio, and she was decorating an illuminated letter. An illuminated letter is what you might see in old manuscripts. The first letter of a paragraph or the first letter on the page is much larger and quite fancy than the rest of the letters on the page. I'm going to do it again now. And when Rick walked into the room, she was so entranced, if that's a word, with her drawing that she didn't even notice he came into the room. And when he spoke to her, she described to him this state that she was in. And Rick, who used to be a monk, told her, well, you were in a meditative state. And she felt so calm and so relaxed and so focused. She wanted to be able to share this with the world. So they went off for a personal retreat weekend somewhere in the Berkshires to develop this method of drawing. Zentangle, the name, is copyrighted along with the method. And they were teaching for quite some time, a few years, spreading the word. And they came to the realization that they can't be everywhere and that they need to train people this method, how to draw using this method, so that more people can spread the word. So they started their what they call seminar, or their certification for certified Zentangle teachers. And I was class number 5 in 2011. Yeah, I'm very proud of myself. Of course, I would be proud of myself no matter how it looked, because I'm doing it. I'm getting close to where I have not too much room left. I have an option of to continue making more auras, or I could just color the inside. And I will color the inside, but not yet. I think I can get one more aura line in there. And I don't think I can get another one. So at this point, I am choosing to fill the center in. I don't have to. But this is the typical way that Crescent Moon looks. Okay, so that's Tangle number 1. Tangles are the patterns with names. The second tangle that I'm going to show you is called Hollibaugh. Now you're going to ask how it's spelled, and I'm not exactly sure. So that will be in my show notes. But it was one of Maria's daughters' married name is Hollibaugh. So she's married to Mr. Hollibaugh, and I don't know his first name off the top of my head. But he developed this particular tangle, and that's how it got its name. I'm going to use this other big space here. And when I think of Hollibaugh, I think of going to the lumber yard, and there's a big truck that's carrying a load of, like a fork load, if you will, you know, of 2x4s. And something happens, and all the 2x4s fall on the ground. And some of them are going this way, and some of them are going this way, and some of them are going this way. And they're all, you know, crisscrossy, piled on top of each other. And that's what I think of when I do Hollibaugh. So the next technique I'm going to teach you, and I've already taught you the word Hollibaugh, but what it means to us, is the drawing behind. And let me show you how that works. So I'm going to draw just a fairly straight line anywhere in this space. Doesn't matter where. And I'm going to draw another line. I'm going to aura it. Next to it, matching the same spacing, parallel to it. Now, I could make it thin. I could make it fat. I'm going to make it medium, I guess. Drawing slowly. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my tail in a different direction, and I'm going to draw another. So here's my first 2x4, for example. I'm going to draw another line, but when I draw this line, I'm going to stop where it meets the first line, pick my pen up, pretending that the line goes under, and resume on the other side. So I'm going to do that. Now I'm imagining that this line is going under, so I am drawing in what we say in Zentangle language, in the halaba way. So now I'm going to draw another line next to it, an aura, and it doesn't matter which side. I'm going to go on this side. I turn it around because I don't want to draw, here's the line I'm going to aura. I don't want to draw on this side from this side because my hand is covering over what I'm trying to mimic. So I turn it around. Now I can see what I'm mimicking, and I'm going to draw slowly, picking up my pen, imagining it goes underneath, and continuing on the other side. And I'm going to do this until I think I've got enough in here. Again, I can make some of them narrow. I can make some of them wider. Stopping, picking up my pen, imagining it's going underneath that, and finishing it on the other side. I'm going to make this one narrow because maybe it's way far down underneath this pile. So it looks littler, or maybe it's just thinner. And then I'm going to put one, let's see, I'm going to put one here. And it doesn't matter which direction they go. It doesn't matter how many you put in there. Okay, I think I could see a little bit of it right there. And then on the other side. And I'm going to put one more here. And this one, I don't see on the other side. So it just stops there. And for me, that's all I'm going to do. I could put more and more and more and more and more in. But then my next step is going to be too hard for me to figure out. So I'm going to make it easy. So this is halaba. So we've got Crescent Moon, and we've learned the term aura. We've got halaba, and we've learned the term halaba. The next one we're going to do is called Florz. And it's a grid pattern. And I probably should have done that in one of the bigger spots. But I'm going to do it in one of the smaller spots and make my grid narrow. Usually I make it wide. So I'm going to start by drawing a line this way, just because it's easy. And then leaving a small gap, I'm going to make more lines. I'm going to aura the line, trying to keep the distance between them the same and in parallel. Now again, I don't want to draw on this side because my hand is going to eventually cover up what I'm trying to echo. So I'm going to turn it this way and continue drawing my aura lines on this side. Going slowly. All right, now I'm going to do the same way this way. Now I'm going to aura this just because that's a great aura for me, rather than trying to go in like a funny angle. I'm just going to go like this, trying to make them all the same size. Some of them are squarish looking. Okay, now I got a lot of intersections there. So what we're going to do in the intersection is we're going to draw a little tiny diamond. Little, because these are small squares. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to zoom in a little bit further, and hopefully I can stay on the page. I think that's all the farther I can zoom in. All right. It doesn't matter where I start, but I'm going to start here. And put a tiny little diamond. Now, no, that one's bigger. My goal is to make them all the same, but that's not going to happen. And if I wasn't first of all, if I'd made them bigger, it would have been easier. And something that you could do instead is just draw a circle in the, like that. But I'm going to put my diamonds in. And it's going to look like maybe a tile floor, which is exactly where Maria got the idea for this pattern, for this tangle. Florz is spelled F-L-O-R-Z. And of course, because I made it so small, I've got a lot of intersections to fill. And now on this edge, I'm only going to put a triangle, because that's all the part of the diamond I'd see. So when Rick and Maria were first teaching, and they didn't have their teacher's program set up, it was just them. They went around to schools and taught, I think the first group might have been high schoolers. And they took some of their drawing in, and Maria's is much more intricate than this. Oh, I've got another one here just as an example of another. This is on what they call a 3Z, three-sided Zentangle. And what they did is they showed them some of their work, and the kids came into class, and they were looking at that, and they knew that this class they're going to draw things as intricate and complicated as that. And they could hear them, the students talking, I can't do that, I can't do that. And Rick and Maria assured them that they can. And at the end of the class, every single student produced beautiful work. And then Rick said to them, look what you've done, and look how great it is. What else do you think you can't do that you probably can, as long as you're building it one stroke at a time? Okay, our last tangle is called Printemps, P-R-E-T-E-M-P-S. In French, it means spring, like spring, summer, winter, autumn, means spring. But here it's called Printemps because it looks like a spring. So what it is, it's really just a spiral. And the spiral can go around as many times as you want or as few as you want. And then I'm going to draw another one. Now I want to fill up this space, so I'm going to go right here. and I'm going to go in a Hollibaugh fashion as though the line is going underneath, and pick it up on the other side, and then I'm going to put it there. And in this case, I chose not to go out of my line. But my pencil lines, just an FYI, are suggestions, not rules. So I could have, if I wanted to. All right, I'm going to put another one here. I'm going to choose to stop at the edge, pick it up on the other side, stop when I hit this spring, pick it up on the other side, and go around this way. Oops. And that pretty much filled that corner. And then I'm going to go over here and do the same thing. Now I'm attempting to make the distance between my swirls the same. I am, again, not as successful with that as I'd like to be. Notice I rotated my tile so I could pull down instead of up. Yeah, look at how close that is. Oops, look how close that is. All right, let's do another one here. Now I could choose, if I wanted to make my springs, my Printemps, all different. So some of them might be wide and some of them might be narrow. Oh, well, I did that one wide, didn't I? Or I could attempt to make them all the same. It doesn't matter. Now I'm sounding like a broken record, because it doesn't matter. It's your art. You do what you want to. I want to fill this space. You know, I think I'll leave it like that. And then I'm going to color this in black. So there's a little space between them there. And I'm going to do the same here. My choice. All right. And then I'll do another one here. And I tend to draw mine, when I'm not thinking about it, counterclockwise. I'm right-handed, and I took a survey on my last class, and it seems as though, from that survey, if you're right-handed, you generally draw your spirals counterclockwise. If you're left-handed, you generally start clockwise. Now on this, I could choose to do both, because I certainly can draw it the other way. Always turning my tile so that I'm drawing, so it's easy for me to draw. All right, I don't want to fit anything in those spots. Let me see, yeah. So I'm going to fill it in. And this has completed the drawing part of our first tangle. Our first tile, rather. And it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 tangles in it. I'm going to put my pen down, and I'm going to pick up my pencil and my tortillon, or blender. And we're going to, the next step, so we've had gratitude and appreciation, we've done the corner dots, we've done the string, we've tangled. Now we need to shade. So there's not any one correct way of shading. I'm going to show you one way you could shade this. And as you practice this more and more, you may find other ways of shading. I'm going to start here with the first one we did, and I'm going to shade down where my ladybugs, if you will, meet. So I can imagine a line right there. And I'm going to put some graphite in there, and I'm coming up the sides just a little bit. And then I'm going to do it here. And here. This one's a little trickier, so I have this and this, and there is no right or wrong way, so I'm doing the best I can. And I have this, and then we come over here. And now it starts to look a little three-dimensional. So I'm going to take my blending stump, and I'm just going to, with circular motions, bring that graphite up a little ways onto these humps. Not all the way to the top, because I don't want to make it all shaded. Just lightly. And I'm trying to leave no shading at all down the center of these humps, because that's where the light is hitting them. So there's one option of shading. I'm going to go here to Hollibaugh, and if this was a bunch of 2x4s laying on top of each other, the one on top is going to shade the one underneath. You can see when I do that with my hand, the shade. If it's laying right on top, the shadow is shorter. If I raise it up, it gets further and further away. So I'm going to imagine that this is the first one I drew. That's the one on top. So what's underneath it? Well, this one. So I'm going to go, now I already have some graphite on my blending stump, so I don't need to put any graphite down there. I can just take the blending stump and do that. Now, this one, this skinny one here, this is on top and this is on top, so it's further away. So the graphite might come out a little bit further. But I think I want to add some more graphite there. Let's see, just right up there along the edge. Right here. And then I don't want to get graphite on the background, or it might be like the ground that these 2x4s are sitting on. Although I could, because, gee, they would be shading that too. All right, this one right here is just under that, so I'm going to put a little graphite there. And this one is underneath these two, so I want to put some more graphite there. And on here and here. So I'm putting the graphite on the 2x4 at the bottom underneath. So nothing's going on this one here, because this one is shading this one. I just wanted it a little darker right up against the edge there. How's that look? Maybe a little darker here. All right. Let's do this one. Now here I can see there are springs on top of each other. For example, this one here is underneath this one. So I'm going to put a little bit of graphite right there. And I can see this one is underneath these three. So I'm going to put some graphite in here. And it's also underneath, this one's also underneath that one, so I'll keep going. I can see that this one is underneath this one, so the shadow goes here. And I can see that this one and this one are underneath that one, so that goes there like that. So this one looks like it might have been the very first one I did, because it's the furthest on top. And I can see that this one is underneath that one. And it looks like it should be a little shadow there. Now I'm going to take my blending stump and just very carefully, in circular motions, bring that shadow out a little bit. Always turning my tile. I want the tip of my tortillon to be poking as though it's poking under something. So it's poking under this one and bringing out the shadow. That's why I don't want to do it from this direction. That's why I'm always turning my tile. Did I get them all? I think so. Now, it looks to me like now let's go on this side. It looks to me like these 2x4s are going under Crescent Moon. So I'm going to put a shadow there too. And I sort of already have the graphite because that's where my original string line was. Gently in circular motions. I might go from this side just because it's easier. And then I'm going to do the same on this side, because this might be going underneath. And I like to hold my tortillon low, which is why they're short and they can fit in the palm of my hand, rather than using the tip. All right, and the last one here, I probably would just shade all the way. The last one here, I would probably just shade all the way around. If they were bigger, I could put something like a little shade in the corner. Like that. But I think I'll just shade around the edges. And that's my string line anyway. Of course, now that I look at that, I kind of like that. What I'm doing is drawing kind of an L shape with my tortillon on the lower right corner of each of these squares. And notice I'm not going up to the very edge of the corner. I'm leaving a little gap there. And because my tortillon is not really a pencil, it's not as accurate as if I was actually drawing with a pencil. But you get the idea. And this is not necessary, but I started it, so I thought I'd finish it. Okay, so that is step number 6, shading. So the next thing we need to do is we need to sign an initial. This is a piece of artwork. Be proud of it. So if you turn it on the back, you'll see a couple lines where you can, I don't know what that is, where you can sign your name. And then date it. Okay. Now on the front, we want to initial the front. So what they suggest is creating yourself a chop. A chop in older Chinese paintings, you might see in the corner where a signature might be, a little square, and it's usually red with some kind of Japanese or Chinese writing in it, which I don't know how to do. And that is the signature of that artist. But what we want to do is put our initials. So I like Maria's chop, although her chop changes all the time, which is absolutely fine. And I like Rick's. So I'm going to show you what Rick does, and it's not going to be nearly as good as his. His name is Rick Roberts. So he does something like this. Rick Roberts. Maria does something fun with the M and T in her name. And I do this. I make 2 thin lines, a squiggly here. There's my L, and then there's my P. So that's my chop. And I have to find some place to put it. And it doesn't matter, but I see there's space here. So I could put it outside. Whoops. I could put it outside, but I think I'm going to put it here. 2 light lines, a squiggle, and there's my chop. Thank you for joining me on this very first of my Zentangle classes. I will be offering more classes coming up. Let me give you the dates if you're interested, although I'll put it in the notes too. Let's see, the date will be November 18th. This is 2025. November 18th at 2 p.m. December 2nd at 2 p.m. and December 16th at 2 p.m. So that's 3 more classes that you can take advantage of. Those classes will cost $20 each, and I will put in the show notes how to sign up and how to pay. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. Bye.